Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. This is the Modern Retailing Super Panel, one of the top segments of any Fixed Ops Roundtable. I want to welcome the distinguished panel we have assembled today. Steve Apicella from Strategic DX. Rebecca Chernick is here, the F&I expert. Brooke Furness is with us here today. Ed Roberts, coming to us from the Batcave, is with us, along with Sean Kingery. Welcome, everybody. Sean Butler is here. Sean, thank you so much for being with us. Russ Mann is here tonight as well, or today. And Tully Williams is with us from the Nilo Company. So everybody, welcome, and thank you for being a part of our panel. Everyone, to set the stage, modern retailing transcends that one-time transaction business model. Amazon.com is not a $1 trillion valued company because they can sell something one time. They are the titan of all retailing because they have solved the desired customer engagements before and after the sale, and they keep their customers coming back again and again. It is the recurring customer that makes Amazon the successful company we all know. So everyone, if I could today, let's kind of discuss and challenge ourselves. Tully Williams, I want to come over to you first. Tully, is it our industry's mission to sell only one car and maybe a few F&I products, or to also earn a recurring customer?
Oh my God, Ted, it's all about the repeat and referral business. Here I'm going to do. I'm taking the mask off of Fixed Ops, put it on the F&I hat. Here we go. Are you in the repeat and referral? Are you ready to sell F&I products? Not in that micro moment we talk about, Steve talks about. We're talking about selling F&I products in the service drive, helping our customers out. What drives repeat and referral? Extended warranties. What drives repeat and referral? Prepaid maintenance. What drives repeat and referral? The products that we would sell our family members in F&I in the service drive. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are one team. It's not sales and fixed. It is one team to do what? To drive repeat and referral business, and it ends up and starts in the Fixed Ops department, my friends.
Steve, I got to congratulate you, because not only is Tully talking about the repeat and referral business, as he always does, Steve, he's talking about the micro moment, and I got to commend you because your message is ringing through loud and clear.
You know, for me, this Amazon reference, something I use all the time because it's not that distant from our great industry. Amazon is chock full of brick and mortar and people. They just figured out the desired engagement before and after that does create that reoccurrence. Everybody watching this who's ever engaged with Amazon hasn't just done it one time. They do it over and over and over again. They don't think about it. And to Tully's point, you know, the micro moment of F&I during the car sales process, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? I'm not saying to destroy that. I'm not saying to stop that. I'm asking our industry and challenging and providing a solution to say, is that where all the value of F&I should reside alone? And I'm certain that it shouldn't. But then when you look at Fixed Ops and you look at a customer after the sale, Fixed Ops, the intent's always been there to offer F&I products. That's never missing. The problem is, how can you sell a customer something they don't have if you don't know what they already have? This has been a long-standing problem in Fixed Ops, is our great service advisors are ill-equipped. Even when the customer comes back organically and says, hey, I bought my car here, I bought some protection products, I need service support, our great service advisors have to say, okay, do you have a copy of your service contract with you? Do you know what it's called? Do you know who it's through? And the customer, and you guys, it's equally as dangerous either way, whether they're thinking it or saying it, is time out. I bought this stuff from you. Don't you know? And this is what we have to fix, this gap. It is about the experience of owning these products. It is about the loyalty of the customer returning, and it is about the critical revenue. But these are not disconnected parts, or shouldn't be. It should be one unified thing before, during, and after the sale. Digital life cycle is the pathway to do that. It doesn't eliminate people. It removes the long-standing pain points that have limited our great industry to just that micro moment.
You know, Steve, the fixed and service directors who are on tonight, including Ed Roberts, Sean Kingery, Sean Butler, Tully Williams, we can all refer to the dealership service history and the manufacturer's history before a customer comes in and when they arrive on the service drive. And we can look at what they've declined before, what they purchased before. But Steve, what you're talking about and what you're doing right now is giving us that same ability on F&I products.
You know, and it's a simple rhetorical question. In 2022, should a customer have intuitive access to all their purchased F&I products, even through multiple administrators in one digital view? Of course they should. And so should our service advisors. And by organic extension, if you can show a customer or a service advisor on behalf of a customer, here's all the F&I products you did buy, and provide a digital pathway to claim service to simplify that process. So it's not multiple administrator 1-800 numbers and phone queues and call hold wait times and manual claim processing. Ridiculous in 2022. But because you can do all of that, you can also show a customer or a service advisor on behalf of a customer, here's all the products you didn't buy, and extend that F&I revenue beyond that micro moment. This is long overdue. And again, this multiple billion-dollar industry that does so great in that micro moment. Think about the architecture of F&I, and it's so good, is we keep F&I products the world's greatest secret until they get into the F&I environment. We show customers 3, 4, 5, 6 products they've never seen before and expect them to make a decision right now or never thereafter. Ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. We should have F&I menu. We should get everything we can through a transparent, powerful menu presentation, honor the customer's request, but then put those solutions in their hands on their smartphone so we can earn the business beyond just that moment. That's what we're doing.
Rebecca Chernick, you have brought so much to the surface in F&I with menu selling, putting these things, as Steve is describing, on a menu for the customer to pick. Rebecca, what do you think? Are we here for a one-time transaction or an ongoing recurring relationship with that customer?
Well, it's all about the reoccurring relationship with that customer. It is all about before, during, and after. And, you know, I met Steve 3 years ago, maybe 3 years, right? 3 years ago. And the reason why, because I was looking for a solution for our dealers to how can we automate this process? How can we just make it streamlined, easy, user-friendly, that we can get back in front of the customer after delivery? And I knew how important that was, because we talk about some of this process of being in front of that customer and service drive programs and that sort of stuff. And frankly, it's with goodwill, but it never comes together. So it was with that conversation that I wanted to figure out a better way to automate that process to be able to get in front of that customer after delivery, because I know that there are times during that menu presentation, as you talk about, that sometimes the pressure of taking advantage of those products, the customer backs off, but yet we have other providers after delivery who are contacting those customers and offering them the ability to take, or the option to take advantage of these products. And I'm thinking, why are we allowing that to happen when we can do it ourselves? So I met with Steve, and I got to tell you, where we are today, or where he is today, is absolutely amazing. He has figured out a way to go ahead and streamline that process to be able to make that happen. And you got to know, I absolutely adore that and respect where you've come with that.
Thanks, Becky.
This strategic DX, Steve, that you've put together has done exactly that. And you know what comes to mind for a second, listening to Becky talk right now, okay? Sean, in service, we have something called declined services, where we can follow up with a customer on anything that we saw that the vehicle needs or the technician made note of on the multi-point inspection. We follow up with customers. But Becky and Steve are so right, Sean Kingery, that we're not doing that on the F&I side. It's that micro moment mentality. It's the one time in the F&I office.
It is, Ted. And I'll tell you, I'm going to go back a little bit where we started here. And you talk about pre-writing ROs and going back to the basics of F&I and selling on the service drive. Pre-writing RO the day before, as Tully has taught us, CSI doesn't stand for customer satisfaction. It's for customer supplied income. All right. And having that pre-write RO, it's huge. And not only that, now what Steve's brought to the table is when that customer comes in and here comes Ed Roberts and he's coming in for a check engine light, you know in advance if Ed Roberts has a service contract. You know in advance that you've already taken the fuse away from the lighter because it's not going to be ignited because you know Ed's protected. In the same regards, you know Ed's not protected and you know what you can pitch the day in advance. Because what do you have on the service drive? 3, 4, 5 minutes? That's all you have. If you don't know, you're not going to know. Now you can know in advance. Listen, Ed has a service contract. Here's what Ed didn't do. Here's what Ed's eligible for. You can pitch it before you get there. It changes the way you write up. And again, the transition from F&I, obviously being married to somebody on that side of the house, there can be no walls. There can be no separation. It's all got to be one. It's got to be seamless all the way across the board.
I'll mention too, again, for all these great fixed ops folks here is, how many times does a service writer learn about an F&I product for the first time when a customer standing in front of them requesting service from it? That's a challenge in our industry that we can't have those moments when customers come back. This is that organic retention moment. And it takes so much to build up and so little to tear down that a customer's confidence, not only in what they purchased and not only in their dealer, but think about the seeds we're sowing for the future. The next time they're in the F&I office, the next time they're presented products, and a customer says, I went through that. No, thanks. That was a terrible experience. I'll never do that again. But the opposite can be true, is where they can come in because of the great experience, because of the great support, and come in preconditioned to say, I want to buy that. I love that product. It was a great experience. And again, these are the things with F&I about its revenue, about its customer ownership and experience enhancements, and the loyalty back to the dealership. They all should work together. They shouldn't be separate things before, during, and after the sale. And again, I love having all these experts on, whether in F&I or in the support community or in fixed ops, because this is real stuff. We can keep refining the processes we already know. And frankly, we should. But we're going to keep getting what we get until we expand the horizon, the sales horizon, and expand the ownership experience horizon beyond just that one-time transaction. And there's so much. It's not the proverbial low-hanging fruit. It's the actual revenue and relationships on the table waiting to be earned. And that's what our industry has to gain, and that's what we have to offer.
Ed Roberts, I would say that Steve Apicella is in both the F&I and the variable department, and he's in fixed operations as well, Ed. Ed, I know that it gives an advisor confidence, and it gives the customer confidence when the advisor is prepared and knows, for example, if the vehicle has an open recall, or the good news that there are no open recalls, right? The advisor looks prepared. So I would imagine having this information up front for the service advisor when the customer comes in, like Sean Kingery was just saying, as part of like we used to do with the old pre-write-ups ahead of time. Ed, that's going to give everybody a lot more confidence along the way.
Absolutely. Preparation's key. But let's look at that from a couple other angles. We talked about Amazon at the first part of this, and dealerships still operate in a silo mentality. They're here for sales. They're here for service. I don't want to talk to them. They're not here for me today. Well, all of us have shopped on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I don't have to ask the question. It's pretty clear. And our experience is the same whether we buy a $2 item or a $2,000 item. The experience exactly the same. And we're in the same business. Amazon's in the retail business. We're in the retail business. We do it with more people, front-facing people. They do it with people behind the scenes. But ultimately, they've knocked down those silos. And it doesn't matter who you're buying from, what you're buying. It all ties together. And that's what this is. This is the bridge from the sales side to the service side. And it should be free-flowing. We shouldn't even have to worry about it being a bridge. But unfortunately, in the silo mentality, it is a bridge. And you got to connect them. Because when a customer has to tell us that they purchased a warranty and we don't know, then we're already fighting a battle of trust. Because to them, it's like, or to us, we're thinking, okay, well, I wish I'd have known that or whatever. To them, it's like they're trying to get over on me. They sold me that warranty. They're not even going to honor it. What's my next battle going to be? And then we have to fight the battle of trust right from the beginning, when we could have been prepared if we had something to tie them together. So tying it together not only makes it seamless, but it makes it effortless. And when we make it effortless, then we become more efficient and we make more things happen.
And I love that you said bridge in between the two. I mentioned before the show here, I was recently asked, Steve, are you part of sales or service? And the truth is, we're a part of both, but we're really filling a vacancy in between the two. And the challenge, you just touched on it, Ed, is most dealerships operate sales and service like two separate companies under one dealer roof. And technically, operationally, maybe that works, but to the customer ownership journey, that's really disconnected, because when the sales portion of that job is done, to many customers, it feels like the transaction and therefore the relationship has concluded. And there's this bridge of awkward silence, after the sale, where, there's so much value and it's no different personal relationships or business relationships. I love all you guys on this panel, but if we're not communicating with one another with some kind of frequency, folks, we don't have a relationship. And the same thing is true with our customers, that if they feel like, okay, you sold me a car, I bought a car, and that's it, well, then guess what? That is it in reality. And we have to engage customers and embrace those moments and not feel like disconnected parts of the journey where we're just hoping for customers to come back at some later point. That doesn't work anymore. Customers expect so much more. And Ed, also to your point with Amazon, is the great thing for our auto retailing industry is to understand that Amazon is not the cheapest resource online. They're not. But customers come back organically again and again and again because they trust and know the process, the consistent process before and after the sale. And again, my house, there's an Amazon box on the doorstep every day. And nobody in my household is cross-checking anybody or going to another website. They're buying right from Amazon because we know what to expect. And you guys are laughing, but tell me I'm wrong, right? I mean, the smiley box is on the doorstep every single day.
Absolutely. And we operate as different businesses inside of one. Our customers look at us as one business, but let's take that further. They also look at us as being the manufacturer as well. They don't look at us being the dealership that helps them communicate with Ford. They look at us as Ford. So we're looked at as being two businesses to the customer. They look at us as one unit, and we're looking at ourselves as we got to break ourselves down into departments, and we're separate from the manufacturer. It's us against them as well, and we got to tie all those things together.
Yeah, I think we're about halfway through, and I like Ed's backdrop. So you guys want to take orders? I'll do a bourbon neat. Anybody else in for that?
I'm in with you.
Well, I like Brooke's backdrop. Look at the purple she's got going there. And Brooke, I know that there are some Amazon boxes on your doorstep every now and then. So
I think I've had 3 today, actually. So yeah. I think it was before we got on this call, I was like, I think I had 10 masks delivered in the last couple of weeks. So Amazon and I are like best friends. And exactly what everyone has said is that it isn't always the cheapest, but we know exactly what to expect. And you know that it's the seamless transactions. And Steve, I know you and I have talked about this multiple times. It's the returning. I don't even have to get the box to return it. I can just drop it off at Whole Foods. Here's my Whole Foods. Yeah, I said that right. I think the mask is on too tight. We're going to take this off because I can't even see anymore. So, look at that.
Brooke, I wanted to say, my wife just did this to me, and I thought it was kind of like she didn't want to deal with it. On the way into work this morning, she gives me a torn up box with like some kind of rug protector in there that she didn't like or didn't fit or whatever. And she's like, just take this back to UPS, give them the QR code, and they'll take care of it. I'm like, don't you got to wrap this thing up or do anything with it?
Mm-mm.
And then I even felt reluctant when I walked into UPS because I'm holding this thing that's just destroyed.
Demolished.
And they're like, oh, come on, you're next. Do you have the QR code? I got the QR code. They're like, okay, have a nice day. That was it. And then remarkably, because my email is connected to the Amazon account, I wasn't even in my car yet when it said, you got it returned. Go ahead and buy something else.
It's phenomenal.
Remarkable.
And I want to, Ed, you mentioned something, and this is a conversation I've had to have multiple times with my clients, is that we are one, whether you're in the consumer's mind, you are Ford, you are Honda, whatever OEM. So any bad experience at any time during that journey reflects on you, the OEM. So the consumer doesn't see it as anything else. And I want to make it really, really clear. They do not see a difference. You are the OEM. So when they have a crappy experience, and you don't have control what tier 1 does, you don't have control of that. But if they have a bad experience on the tier 1 site, sorry, you are screwed. It's not, you don't have control of it. I'm fully aware of that. But that is why it's so key as how we're going through. If it's a bad experience in fixed ops, it's a bad experience in parts, bad experience on tier 1 or tier 3 or on Auto Trader, it's a bad experience all the way across the board. And so I love the fact you brought that up, Ed. And too many people like don't understand that it's like, no, this is holistic. This is the whole way through. When you start to look at, okay, all right, is it really important of the reoccurring customer? Well, one, yes, it is. But you look at how much it takes to bring a new customer in. What is it? 80% of our profits will come from 20. I'm screwing up. 80% of your future profits will most likely come from 20% of your existing customers. That's a lot of money. Like, I used to be great at math, but anyone that knows me I've had way too many concussions, so I'm not as great as math as I used to be. You start looking at some of these other numbers that on average, loyal customers are worth up to 10 times more than their very first purchase. Like, that is a lot of money. Like, you can go ahead and light your money on fire. Like, have at that. Like, go ahead. And if you got money to spare, like, you can just send it over to me. Like, I'm cool with that. But that's a lot of money. So we're sitting there talking about connecting the disconnected and all these different aspects. And at any part during any of the experience, this is so key. And that's why it's so, when you're having your meetings, when you're having all these different things, are you talking and making sure that, are we cross-training? Does service and sales and parts and BDC and finance, does every single person know what's going on? And before anybody slaps a stupid freaking button on the website, does every person know what's going on? Because that's going to affect every single person. We just got back from Digital Dealer. And this is something I go on a little rant about, is that we see this bright red shiny objects like, oh, I need this. No, you don't. Slow down. Are you just doing it because you need it? And if you, or did something to actually fix something, to fix a problem? Have you talked to every single, all the major parties involved to say, before we actually do this, does parts know, does service know, does everybody know? And if you're going to a 20 group, just to food for thought, take your service director with you, take your parts director with you, so they know what's going on as well. Like, this is just, make sure everybody's involved, because all of these things go back to having a bad experience all the way across, and it cost you. And Ted, I really love you, because it's really difficult for not me to drop a 4-letter word right now. I just want you to know that, how much I love you, because I'm really trying hard not to use Brooke words right now, because drives me bonkers that connecting the disconnected here, as you say so often, Steve, is that all this goes back to, these are easy things to solve, but we make it so freaking hard. So,
and at that event you talked about last month, Brooke, there was one thing, the floor is chock full of vendors, again, which I have great respect for, but 99% of those vendors are about customer acquisition. It's what our industry does. We throw the kitchen sink at customer acquisition, and then there's silence. And when you talk about those numbers and about the value of a lifetime customer and the customer's value of their lifetime with their dealership, it's enormous, right? And at that event last month, I heard one dealer operator say in the keynote, hey, just so everybody knows in the vendor land, we don't have a customer acquisition problem right now. We have more customers than we have cars, right? We have a customer loyalty problem right now. And this is the challenge for our industry, is, of course, we should refine all the processes and sales. Of course we should. And of course we should continuously refine the processes and service. But until we fix the gap in between the two, until we connect those disconnected parts, we're going to get what we currently get, which is mass defection after the point of vehicle sale. And that's not okay with me, and I don't think it's okay with anybody on this panel. We work too hard. The one thing that I say, every time I hear somebody talk about 100% online retailers, and they filled a void that the brick and mortar industry created, right? About easy engagement and easy sales. But our brick and mortar industry, this great industry, shouldn't catch up to the 100% online retailers. We should blow them away by our unique ability to also locally service those customers where the 100% online retailers are just selling cars. So why do we work so hard to acquire a customer and then do such a good job at abandonment? That's not okay. And we have to keep investing in, okay, we sold the customer a car, maybe an F&I product or two. Then what? What is supposed to happen next? And it can't be awkward silence, and it can't be waiting for them to come back to the service department. It's too late.
Stephen, if you take that one step further, I don't know, I'm sure you all read the Axios report that came out a bit ago, and it's all, I'll just leave it at that. But you look at obviously EVs are a big hot topic right now. 74% said they would prefer to buy at a dealership rather than an auto manufacturer or third party. Once again, this is going back to dealerships. Now that's all inclusive, because we just set the precedence there. So what are we doing at the dealership level to make sure that all parties are on the same page? And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Sean Butler, you have been involved very heavily in rebuilding an organization with your franchises there. Congratulations to you, Sean. Great work that you've been performing. And Sean, I got to tell you, I don't ever recall a conversation this in depth about this topic, which has been long overdue. So what do you say?
Well, I think that we've hit upon a big topic of, I've heard the word transactional about 10 times, right? It's not transactional, it's personalization of the customer service experience from the front to the back and the middle that counts. Literally at my cookout last month, that you guys may have seen on LinkedIn or something, where I do those every month. We have one coming up later this week. My speech to the group was, it's one dealership. When a customer walks in that door, they see Bristol Honda, they see Johnson City Acura, they see Johnson City Mazda. They don't see the parts department, the service department, the sales department, the F&I, the accounting office upstairs. They see the store, right? So we have to bridge that gap, to quote Steve up there, and find a way to make it seamless. One of the pain points is the ROs. The ROs, F&I doesn't enter in the information that should print out on the RO of what the customer bought. It's stupid and mindless, and it drives me nuts that we waste countless minutes that add up to hours, that add up to days in a year, trying to figure out what the heck the customer's got.
You know what I love about this too is, why is F&I only sold in that micro moment? Because that's the process that's existed up until today. And why is that information not available to the service department? Sean, without anybody doing anything special, it doesn't exist in the DMS. The DMS has the financial data related to F&I, but that's it. So as we keep F&I the world's greatest secret to the customer before they get in the F&I office, we keep it the world's greatest secret to the service department after they leave the F&I office. It's ridiculous.
Well, Steve,
but again, it's process. It's just about process. That when
Steve,
you fill in those blanks, I'm going.
You know what's happened over the course of the last couple of years? There used to be a really great thing called a sales to service handoff, right? That's disappeared. Name it where it goes on. So when I have suggested multiple times that, hey, who better knows what a customer needs, what their upcoming needs are, to be able to sell the F&I type products after the fact? You wouldn't believe the shoot down you get because it's not going through F&I. So I believe that Russ Mann has come up with a solution that will bridge that gap.
Thanks, Sean. Hey, Russ.
Oh, what a tee up. I have to, this is an amazing conversation to me, and I'm absolutely grateful to be here. But I think really what it boils down to is change. Dealerships historically have always struggled with the change. And whenever someone comes across with something new and exciting, I'm busy doing something else that I can't concentrate on change. And I think if dealerships would get into that mode of using things like strategic DX and their TPAs, and just stop, slow down, you'll go faster, you'll sell more customers, more stuff, and they'll be happier in the long run. if you just listened and committed to something different. We all know that same, it's the way we've always done it. The automotive industry, you guys have all touched on every one of the cliched things that we talk about, right? Pillars, right? Lack of communication, customer acquisition. We always talk about all those things, but why aren't we talking about retention? Oh, wait, we do talk about retention, but we don't do anything about it. Right? We don't come up with innovative ways to make sure that process is seamless. And there are vendors like Strategic and myself and a whole bunch of other things that are in that process that allow you as an automobile dealer in today's world to compete with everybody and crush them all. But you have to commit not to do what you've always done.
And I think too, one thing I want to add to what Russ said there, which I love and love what everybody has said, is that I do believe we have a great industry. And I think we're doing a lot of things right. This is not one of these, and I'm not one of those guys that thinks everything is wrong. I don't. But I think there are some critical gaps out there. And, when contributions come along, when I'm a vendor, support community, dealer partner, again, no matter how you label it, I am who I am, right? Is we work relentlessly on one thing and invest on one thing, but we don't do that in a vacuum and we don't do that in a bubble. We do that with our dealer partners and we work really closely with them to figure out the pain points and to figure out how to bridge those gaps. So when I do that and create a solution, I don't say you have to change your F&I menu process. Keep it. I don't say you have to change your F&I partners. Keep them. I also recognize that every dealership has more than one F&I support partner. Tell me I'm wrong. And if solutions don't work with all the vendors, it doesn't work, period. And this is where, again, as an industry, we have to evolve our thinking. Imagine if an F&I provider came in, you loved their product, and they said, but you have to use my menu to sell your product. Ridiculous. Right? That's why we have a generic agnostic menu that other providers can plug into. Well, then what happens after the sale? It's analog anarchy. It all splits apart and there's no solutions to solve the multi-administrator, single dealer administration issue. What products should you be able to sell after the vehicle sale? The same ones that are on your menu with the vehicle and the same providers, right? These are your products. These are your providers. These are your processes. Just bridge the gap in between the two so it doesn't turn into a vacancy. It's that simple.
And understand that there are ways for you to do that. I think the dealerships get stuck in their head that, oh, no, I don't have any way to do that. Oh, the service writer, oh, they don't have time and the drive to do this. Oh, my service director, she's too busy. I can't do this. I can't do that. I got 14 TPAs. Bull.
Could you imagine, this came up recently too. Is everybody aware of WeatherTech, the company?
Yeah.
Big company, right? I mean, huge, massive company. Brooke, they're in your backyard just about, right? Big name. And what do? They primarily sell floor mats, right? They got some other nice things. You can buy a dog bowl from them if you want, but their cornerstone is floor mats. Most people buy floor mats from WeatherTech the day they buy their car.
Mm-hmm.
They buy a car and they go home and they go to weathertech.com and they buy a floor mat. What should that tell our auto retailing industry?
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell didn't we sell the customer floor mats if they're going home and buying it the same day, right? As it was mentioned earlier by Becky, there's a gigantic industry out there selling F&I products and doing refis and doing all these things after the vehicle sale. But the dealer's not a participant in that. But yet the appetite is so big, it creates this massive post-sales industry. Wouldn't it be a good idea to participate in that? Wouldn't it be a good idea to stay engaged with your customer before, during, and after the sale so it doesn't feel like disconnected parts? It feels like one continuous dealer experience. I think the intention is there. I think the people are there. The process is what's been missing for so long. And that's what we're hoping to contribute to.
And Steve, Becky, to their credit, two great leaders on this panel today, Rebecca Chernick, Becky, and Tully Williams called this out about 2 years ago on the Fixed Ops Roundtable and said, how come we have not brought, Tully, right, your words, service and F&I together? So Tully and Becky, talk about that a little bit, because I think I know you're exactly right. This is a huge industry that's occurring outside of the retail walls of the dealership. And Becky and Tully, it's very successful.
I think that when you look at, we're talking about, keeping the customer informed after the micro moment, which I love, Steve, that terminology, right? But here's the best thing ever, is your service department bought in on F&I products. What do we normally say, F&I? Oh my God, those guys get way overpaid and they're babies and they watch YouTube all day. That's not what we want. We want them all to be part of the program. We want our service advisors to say, you bought that product. Oh, do you want that product? I can sell it to you on your phone. I don't need to walk you up, sit in a desk and wait until 12 o'clock in the afternoon for the person to come in to sell it to you. The whole goal is you have the process in place that everybody understands. Like Ed said, we're one store. No one knows the F&I box or the service writer box.
You know what's amazing too? How these F&I administrators and their agents are super valuable, right? They create this critical financial work center. I honor them just like I honor dealers every single day. But if you want to hear new vernacular here, if you want to hear Brook language, go ask a service advisor what they think about a claims process with their administrator. It's ugly, right? Where that part of the industry is spending the most amount of money doing it the least desirable way.
And I think that you got to get your team involved, right? Steve, you got to get the F&I department and the service department as one team. As you all probably know, I share an office with the F&I and the variable director. Why? Because we're a team. If the service writers are not bought in with your F&I products, you will fail in the long term. Short term, everybody wins. We all make money. Hoo ha ha ha. But that's not the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is what? Russ said it. Retention is the Holy Grail. That is what we're here. Repeat and referral. Is your F&I and your driveway the same? Is your dealer involved? Is your dealer supporting this product? The answer needs to be yes. We have to be as one. We have to make sure that the service writer knows the products, keeps them in the family, and refers the next car to them. That's the key.
You know what I love too, and I do want to hear from Becky on this topic because she is an expert at it, is, when I think about, where does this responsibility lie? I can speak for me and the vendor dealer support community. It's my responsibility to build solutions that ultimately translate to more revenue and more meaningful customer retention. That's our mission. Tell me, Russ, or anybody else, if that's not your mission, or anybody, that's what we're doing in the support community. We have to remember that. But then the dealer needs to raise the bar. Imagine the next F&I product provider coming in, and to Brooke's point, you see the shiny red object. I think the first thing I would ask is, what service look like with this? Is this only sold in the micro moment? How does my service advisor engage us? Is this a 1-800 number, right? Tell me I'm wrong on this. That if we raise the bar and say, this is the expectation of the industry, we're not okay with analog anarchy after the sale. We're not okay with just selling F&I products in the micro moment. The minute we raise the bar together as the dealer support community and the dealers, then we'll start earning the things that we desire. And it's long overdue. Long overdue.
And I think that dealer support community has to be more consultative. They have to ask more questions. They don't ask enough questions. All they ask is a pitch. Do you like? Do you not like? Yes, no, next.
Right.
They never slow down enough to say, what does your advisor do on a day-to-day basis?
It's such a shame because there's so much to learn and so much to gain from it.
Russ,
right.
One thing I learned about Becky, and Becky, I'll give you the last word on this. Russ, I learned that Becky Chernick, I learned very early on from her. She helped pioneer the interview process with the customer, to be able to interview the customer. And Steve, how important it is to do that. Becky, coming to you because you pointed this out a long time ago with Tully.
Yes, definitely. Telly and I and Dennis, certainly we talked through the interview and the process of making sure that we're all on the same page, because that's how it works. Everyone working in a cohesive process that makes sense. And, being in the F&I business for well over 30 years, and I am dating myself, and that's why I guess I'm keeping my mask on. No, I'm just kidding. But I've seen it, and I've seen it all too much when we're not connected and we have this disconnect, and it has to be that streamless process from finance, and how important it is when we're doing training. And one of the things that I adhere to and train up to is making sure that that new F&I manager is in service and they are playing a part of that training process, that they understand what is going on each and every single day, and why it's so important to have that communication with that customer. And it has to be concise, that we're both on the same page, and that we are connecting the disconnect, or we are bridging that gap. And there has been a gap for many years, but to make an impact, it is starting with that training department in F&I, or training F&I, to have a much better understanding as to what takes place in that service department. So that way we have better communication. And tying that piece in with technology, I got to tell you, makes all the difference. It automates this process from the get-go, from the time that customer, selling the vehicle, during, and afterwards. And it just makes it's just a smarter way to go. So
Becky,
how many people, you guys, leave the F&I environment and say that the process is too long, right? We hear this reported over and over again, that the process is too long. And how do you resolve that? If time and fatigue is a problem, should we be throwing more stuff at them? Should we come up with crafty word tracks to convince them to buy something when they're not ready to? Or should we extend that opportunity beyond that moment and capture it thereafter? And the other thing I'll say about F&I menu presentations, very valuable in the F&I office in this constrained time frame, where this has been adopted by everybody, that you're not buying single products, you're buying levels of coverage. And one of those options is not nothing. It's good, better, or best. What do you want? But part of the problem with menu selling is the individual products' identities get lost a lot, where they're not really, even though it's 100% of the products 100% of the time, is because you're presenting the whole menu. We find that after the sale, when you put these products in the customer's hands and they can digest everything that they missed, they're inspired to buy. They want to protect their vehicle, especially when they just bought it. So much like WeatherTech and buying floor mats, guess when people are buying more service contracts and warranties? It's not 2 years or 5 years down the road. It's within the first couple of weeks of ownership, when you just gave them the ability to be able to see it, understand it, digest it, and God forbid in 2022, buy it on their smartphone. These smartphones came out in 2007. It's almost 2023. We're a month away. Isn't it about time we start leveraging these smart devices?
Steve, bring it home. Okay, you've connected all the dots. I love the WeatherTech analogy. If I'm a dealer, I'm sold. You've got the technology. All these professionals here are explaining it and making it very clear. Steve, if I want to get Strategic DX at my dealership, what do I do?
LinkedIn is a great way to connect with us. On the bottom of the screen, you've got also our website. That's a great way to connect with us. But what I'd like to do with a little bit of airtime that I have left here, and in the spirit of the season, is to say thank you, Ted, to you. And thank you to everybody on the panel for being a part of this. And I'm grateful in the spirit of Thanksgiving for this industry that I love. And all the participants, look how much passion exists just right here on this panel. And again, with that airtime, for those that understand one of the challenges Ted has put out there to help unmask cancer and to donate, this is such a easy thing to do. We're all very blessed on here. And I do love the industry I work in. And there's always time to make time to help out others. And Ted, thank you for bringing light to this. And I hope everybody watching this, everybody on the panel and everybody watching this makes some kind of contribution. It doesn't take much. It's really fast to do, by the way. And it makes a huge difference. So Ted, thank you. And everybody on the panel, thank you for being a part of this. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Steve, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Everybody, I want to thank the Modern Retailing panel, Rebecca Chernick, Brooke Furness, Ed Roberts, Sean Kingry, Sean Butler, Russ Mann, and Tully Williams, and Steve Apicella from Strategic DX. Everybody, the Modern Retailing panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.